just asking for, yeah.
You got money to give me? Because if you do, if you got money, I'll ask for it.
I was just saying, every time someone comes in front of the board asking for money, I take ibuprofen.
I'm not doing that yet.
No.
I'm
You're
kidding.
up.
All right. Well, I appreciate the council giving the time today for the work session. Obviously, we're here today to kind of discuss the RFPs that I presented to you guys in a previous meeting for both fundraising and for building construction for a new wellness and recreation center that we want to locate at Kiwanis Park. Just to reiterate and go through a couple of the kind of overarching themes and needs for the facility. I kind of got a little bit of about the 6-point thought process on it. Kind of, again, to reiterate and put in summation, the needs for health and wellness facility based on our 2023 needs assessment. There's a rising health concern in Benton County where we report over 35% of our adults in the county are obese with increasing risks of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. There's limited access currently to fitness and wellness options that are inadequate, with many residents facing barriers to a healthier lifestyle. Mental health support, where the community seeks more recreational opportunities to reduce stress and enhance mental well-being, along with wellness programs. A new center could introduce new programs, such as yoga, meditation, group exercise classes, more opportunities for senior gathering, youth program opportunities, as well as economic impact through rentals and commercial opportunities. Addressing the inadequate current facilities, I've got our future athletics director here with the high school to potentially report to us on some of the space shortage that we are looking at. And when we get to some public input, Mr. Qualley can address that a little bit, but our existing gyms are overcrowded, pushing practices late into the night, and often not allowing for our current use and our current athletic programs to be able to be housed in the school. So having more adequate space would allow for us to take the burden off of the school and allow us to program more opportunities at the rec center along with the school. Outdated equipment, the available fitness equipment, and our discourages regular use due to age and some limited variety. Accessibility challenges, there's no modern features like an indoor track, pickleball courts, youth training facilities, or multi-purpose fitness centers within a 30-mile radius of Benton. Youth programming impact, growing our youth programs due to a lack of sufficient practice and competition space. Right now, a lot of our indoor programming that we do for youth is predicated on what the school district uses. So a perfect example would be this last week when we had a school cancellation. A school function, which has first priority over us, was moved over to one of our practice days, so we weren't allowed to use the gymnasium and had to cancel games because of school conferences and school play and school activities that were going on. So those are things we wouldn't have a need for or have an issue or roadblock with moving forward. Thirdly, looking at economic impact of events and tournaments. Local revenue growth. Sports tournaments could generate tens of thousands of dollars for Benton. Spending in the community would be increased through traffic benefits from restaurants, hotels, and shops. It'd be a regional attraction. A versatile facility could host basketball, volleyball, pickleball, and wrestling events. Nearby towns like Independence have seen economic growth after similar investments in their indoor space. They host a lot of indoor softball, baseball tournaments in their indoor space. From a community engagement and quality of life perspective, the center would serve as a hub for residents of all ages. It would create indoor options for the winters. We know our winters are long and limit outdoor activities, so increasing the need for more indoor opportunities and indoor spaces. Currently, we're programming the snot out of our skating rinks. So I mean, there's programs going on all day and night now. Specifically, our senior population uses the facility in the mornings from 8 to 9 in the morning for walking. We've even started opening 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning on Tuesdays and Thursdays for walking. Our increased growth of pickleball users has increased quite a bit. We've got residents from from Urbana, Dysart, Garrison, Van Horn, and even Centerpoint that are driving here to play pickleball in the morning. So we've had to extend the hours for pickleball now to where we have 2 days a week from 8 to 11. 8 to 11? Yeah, 8 to 11 on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then we just started a new noontime hour today. We'll keep that quiet. But it's mainly for our Vinton residents to be able to play from noon to 2 on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and so that's going on only when we don't have homeschool activities that are going on in the gym or in the skating rink or private rentals. The proximity to other facilities right now, it would reduce our travel time. Currently, a lot of residents travel to Cedar Rapids or Independence for fitness activities, youth training, youth club sports. We keep that revenue local again and would provide convenience to families. A local option reduces commute time and boosts program participation. And lastly, from a long-term community growth perspective, it could attract new residents. Obviously, residents are looking for quality of life activities, so quality recreation amenities, make it a more appealing place for new families. Investing in the future is a commitment to long-term community health and development and enhanced community image where a state-of-the-art facility supports Vinton's image as a vibrant, family-friendly community. So that's kind of my pitch. We've talked about it a couple of times before. I'd like to address any concerns, or I don't know if there's any community members that have anything that they'd like to speak up and say about the potential use or need for a new facility. Now would probably be as good a time as any to come up and say anything that you might have to say. So,
well, I would echo what Mr. Vargas said about the facilities use is difficult for those of you who have had any kids involved in activities. Like finding gym time is difficult, and I can go through the calendar, but there are very few times in any of the gyms at any of the schools before 9 o'clock in the PM that are available for people to use. And so it has been difficult. Things like the cancellations have made it more difficult for sharing agreements that we have with the Parks and Recreation. And this additional facility would also allow the sharing to go a little bit each different ways, so the school could also access some of that great space that are in the documents that you guys are looking at. So it definitely would have a mutual benefit.
Congratulations on your appointment, by the way.
Thank you.
So, just one question. Is this like going to be like the finalized kind of thing? If anybody wants to jump up, you can interrupt me anytime.
Oh yeah, let me
go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. I'll talk about the pickleball part. Yeah, we got the facility now where during the wintertime, obviously it's tough with the outdoor courts closed. And the outdoor courts is only 3 courts. And the indoor courts and the skating ring, we set up 3 in the center ring. And obviously we can't do that when we got walkers going, so we have to kind of share that time with them, unfortunately. But when we're showing up at 8 o'clock and I do Tuesday, Thursday, I'm there from 8 to 11, we are full. You can get 4 people on a court, and we have 12 people plus every day right now because we're getting people from Dysart and Urbana, Centerpoint, wherever they're coming from. We're getting the outside people coming in here, and it's starting to get much more crowded. And I like to think it's Vinton. With Vinton people keep Vinton happy type of thing, but we are sharing with the local communities. But we're outgrowing our space. Now, even when we move out from the skating rink back into our summer location, over I don't think it's Kiwanis Parking, or not Kiwanis Park, BL Anderson. We outgrew that this summer already anyway. There's times, like I said, we can have 3 courts going for 12 people. We've had 16 plus people show up. So, and it's going to get worse. So, and I know those courts up by the hospital, I don't know what we're doing with those, if they're going to be just dismantled and taken care of, but we literally just have the 3 courts going right now, so another facility would be fantastic to help out with that. Because it's taken off. So that's old people like to play pickleball. So, okay.
I'm an old person, as you can tell. I moved here 7 years ago in May. And I moved here a lot for my son lives here. But I love pickleball. And what's very frustrating for me is that there's just not any room. It's just so hard to play when I have to sit out a game and then come back in. I'm old. It takes me a while to warm up. So it would be great, and just even the courts outside. We were playing, and here comes the group from the juniors at a grade school, Tifford. They wanted to come and play, but we play early in the morning because we get hot and we don't want to overheat. So it's just, and I'd love to share it with them, but we need more courts even outside. So if you had some inside that, we'd have 6 courts, 3 there and 3 outside. That'd be great. The more the merrier,
Yeah, I'm Dustin Sherm. I'll offer a little different perspective. I do play pickleball a lot and enjoy it, but we probably covered that. We've got 3 littles that are in sports to them or active in sports, and I think one of the things that's been really eye-opening to me is going to different tournaments, whether it's indoor softball or wrestling. The communities that have something, they attract a ton of different people. I know we played an indoor softball tournament in Monticello last spring, winter, and it's really interesting how we dedicate a day and we go play that activity, whatever it is. We wrestle too, but we're going to different coffee shops and restaurants and things in that community, and it's really interesting just to see how that attracts a ton of different people from a lot of different areas. I live west of Garrison, so we're kind of obviously out in the country, and for us to be active in pickleball indoor, we drive to Cedar Rapids. There is really nothing in the area that can be played indoor. We actually built a farm shop and we play indoor, and actually have folks out to my place, and just because we want that extra indoor space kind of on demand. But I'll offer another thing, cage space for youngsters, youth baseball. I got joined, and those words are intentional. I got joined in the Marv Lindsay board this summer because I've got 2 youngsters that are going to be playing out there, and it's one of the feedbacks that I've gotten from a lot of the other board members that have had youngsters come through that facility is people love coming to Vinton because our fields are in good shape, and it's really hard to find areas in Cedar Rapids and different spots to have availability of fields, and so that's been really eye-opening to me that actually our community, I consider Vinton part of our community or my community, hosts a ton of different tournaments, and our kids get to stay local. Our kids play 90% of their games, in and around Vinton, so parents aren't traveling quite as far and those type of things. I think that opens up the possibility of more kids being involved, and I think something like Matt has proposed here with basketball, with pickleball, with wrestling, with cage space. I drove, when I went through Vinton Shellsburg, I drove to Cedar Rapids, I don't know how many times a week to hit a perfect game because we didn't have anything. We have a few cages around the community, but very limited, and baseball is one of those sports that takes a lot of repetition, and like Matt said, it's winter and it's pretty tough to do that outside. So I think something like this could be huge for the county in addition to just Vinton. I think people from Belle Plaine and Dysart and things would definitely use it versus driving to other communities. So I offer it to be a whole county-wide initiative more so than just Vinton. So that's what I have.
Come on. I know as soon as I start talking, somebody's going to stand up. Okay, so is this a final design, or are we in the kind of just planning stage?
I think that ideally I'd love to see a floor plan that somewhat looks like that for the most part, but I think in going out to bid with a construction firm, there's obviously room for us to ebb and flow with whatever those folks think are in our best interest. You know what I mean? I think what we've done over the course of the past 6 years being along this ride, there's a few people in the room here. Eric was on my board for a number of years, starting back to, I think, Bud, you can probably remember too, the folks that were sitting on our meetings back in 2018, 2019 through COVID. We started with like this grandiose building, and then we've slowly kind of been like, okay, that came in like what, $28 million or something like that. Then we scaled down to like 18, and then we got to 12. And then finally, I'm just at the point where I want to take what we have currently and just supersize it. So right now, we've got a facility that has a couple courts, but they're not adequate for us to do anything in there, to host any leagues or any tournaments or anything of any consequence. We've got a batting cage in our facility right now, but it's not to the specs where it would be good to be able to host a couple of different teams that want to hit in there, or a couple of different people that want to rent the facility. The fitness center, we've added new equipment, but the size constraints, I mean, we have seniors in there. Scotty can attest to this, like, for the last 2.5, 3 months, we've had people in there nonstop from 7 o'clock in the morning till 9:30. So to be able to just enhance what we currently have. So by taking what we currently have, enhancing it for the needs of the community as the community continues to grow, while also taking some of the pressure off of the school district and some of the facility usage that we have there, I think is our goal and our aim right now. And if we get ourselves somewhere in the sweet spot of 3 to 5 million, I mean, I think that's a goal that's attainable for us. I don't want to publicly bond this facility. I'd like to look at privately fundraising the entire amount of this facility. Then that way we're not placing any undue burden on taxpayers for asking them to finance this facility. Again, those are conversations to have too with a fundraising firm to see if there's a roadmap that leads us to raising that money in this community. So I guess maybe I'm answering a long answer to your short question, but I mean, I think we
It's all
can
good.
ebb and flow with
The
that.
only thing my biggest question about the whole layout is if we're gonna have it to be a place for people to come watch their kids play basketball,
Mhm.
do we need to widen it just a little bit to get bleachers on the other side?
Absolutely.
You know, because I know that's one of the biggest complaints, even in the new high school, that people
Yep.
don't have a place to sit
Yep.
when big things happen. So,
Yep.
I like the layout, I like the concept. It's overdue, for sure.
I would agree. Are there any questions with regards to the RFP that I put together? The only changes that I would make to it, and this is after having conversations with my board as well, is to remove the weighted scale on the RFP at the end. The thought process behind that is that if we go completely just based on the weighted scale, we could end up with a contractor that we maybe don't have as good of a relationship with. And I think going through the process, having somebody that we can have a mutual relationship with as far as how we want to get things done and have a mutual vision for how we want to get this accomplished is more important, I think, for a small community like ours versus just going based on that weighted scale. I would assume that a lot of you would be on board with us when we look at vetting the proposals and the bids when they come through, stuff
So
like
if it is
that.
all privately funded, and we don't have to use any public dollars, does he have to follow the low bidder, or?
No. But if only $1 of public funds is used, then yes, you would.
That's
But
Just
if
questions.
it's 100%,
non-public
non-public
funds.
funds, then that's correct.
Does that have
You're
anything to do with after the fact though, when we're looking at operating costs?
Operation and construction are two different things.
That's what I figured, but I just wanted to ask the question to make sure. So.
Actually, Humboldt is an example.
Yep.
It was their
Needed,
facility
yep.
was totally privately funded and privately donated, and operation was then given to the city, and then the city then took over the day-to-day operations of that facility and maintenance and that sort of thing.
We've toured that facility too, and it's a top-notch facility. It's really nice. I mean, I know that you can't approve or not approve me moving forward with the RFPs at this time. I know it needs to be on another agenda item, but that was kind of it needs to be on another meeting. But that was just kind of my spiel. So
I believe we were discussing this, you and I were.
Yeah.
And was thinking about having this as a work session and getting council's initial thoughts and feelings about a consensus to bring this back onto agenda for looking at RFP. Maybe.
Yeah, I think I just get rid of all the percentages at the end of them and leave it be.
yeah, that was my thought. Was just I can leave that criteria in there, but then I can take out the percentages as far as what's weighted what. So that everybody knows kind of what we're judging it on, but also.
questions on it?
So bring it back.
Does anybody have any ill feelings about it, I guess?
Feelings?
Yeah, it should have happened 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thought process, moving forward, if we, as we go on this, then we'll obviously get together a committee of folks that will help us further with design and some fundraising and stuff like that too. But the idea of using a different firm to do that, I think is advantageous to cull our donor base in the county, identify folks that have a giving propensity, stuff like that. And then the thought process is to work with Matt Johnson and the guys over at Cedar Valley Bank, just like we did with the splash pad, and we housed our money there. And then they can also work with folks on multi-year gifts, estate planning, deeds, stuff like that. And then we can talk about how we want to work, if there's an opportunity to borrow against those gifts, or like how we would want to work with that, so.
Well, I'm more encouraged by this plan than the 28 million when we started out with.
I am too. I am too.
Yeah. That's good.
Well, and again, not to drag on, but the thought process behind the design too was to also make sure that when we do build this, that we have a building that we can maintain and keep kept, because that's one of the biggest, things that I have an issue with is when you build something new and you go back in there 6 months later and it looks trashed because you can't keep up with the facility, you don't have the staff to maintain it, all that sort of stuff. So my thoughts are with this design is it's something that could easily be maintained by two individuals, 2 night staff. It shouldn't be anything harder than that. So we'd have to employ one more person than what we currently do at night for our night shift, but other than that, we should be okay. Good open floor plan, easily able to be maintained, stuff like that.
Yeah, I like the simple floor plan. I like the simple, it gets you what you want, what you need.
Yep. We did throw in some stuff in there for a kitchen, big concession area, so that we could do that for hosting tournaments, stuff like that. So we made sure to throw that in there as well, because it's my hopes that obviously we'd be doing a lot of that as well. So.
Yep.
I won't speak for everybody, but I assume if you get on the agenda, they would probably have a favorable outcome. Move forward with your RFPs, but I have to decide that at a council meeting.
Understood. Well, thanks everybody, I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. You all have to stay for the council meeting now.